Hey everyone, good morning, Charlie here. Hope you're all doing well.
Sat here at the
Sabai Cultural Library, sort of edging out. It's a beautiful, cool sort of morning where the sun's just sort of hitting everything really bright. Beautiful, my favorite place in the city. Anyway, what I want to talk to you about this morning is helicopter parents, right? I think probably a lot of people who are here teaching in Japan, this is something that they've probably grown about quite a bit, because as it turns out, the sudden, apparently at least, how should I say, the sudden sort of increase in helicopter parenting is not just like a stateside phenomenon, of course. Helicopter parenting is a thing here. The trophy generation, the everybody should win something, everybody should get something thing, right? Like that's definitely a thing here too. And that certainly affects and will affect your life here as a teacher. By and large, I would say that parents here, right, they are much more willing to let their kids be independent than at least in my experience, American parents, right? Like there's not too much hand-holding. A lot of kids walk to and from school or to and from their eikaiwa lessons, whatever the case may be, by themselves. Sometimes that's a pretty fair distance too. They ride the trains there by themselves, do all these things by themselves, right? So while the helicopter parent is a thing here, and all those other things that I talked about are things here, they're much less common, it seems like. But that said, you will have to deal with it most likely if you come over here to teach English. In my experience, the way that the helicopter parent most makes themselves known is by watching every single lesson, right? And scrutinizing every little thing you do just to make sure that their kid is getting the best possible experience. Never considering that possibly the fact that they're watching you and dogging you the entire time is probably actually hurting your lesson. Now I know if you've been here for a while teaching, you probably saying to yourself right now, that's an excuse, man, your lesson should be good no matter what. And I think that's true to an extent, but if the parent requests to come into the room with you, that is a big problem, right? Because suddenly there is this battle of wills as to who is the authority figure in the room. And I hate to tell you, but 9 times out of 10, if the parent comes in the room with you, the teacher's not going to be the one in charge, right? The parent's going to be the one in charge, and that makes it really difficult to control a classroom. Anyway, I don't want to hype on it too much, but let's just say that yeah, it's a thing, it's a problem, but it's also really easy to deal with. There is, I think, a myth here, or a myth out there, I should say, outside of Japan, that you can't say anything to parents. You can't say anything to your school because complaining is not allowed here. That's true. Complaining is not a very good idea, right? If you complain too much and get into some trouble, can damage your working relationships, your personal relationships, all that other stuff, right? It's just not culturally a good idea to complain too much. But there's a difference between complaining and sort of constructively making your concerns known, right? And what I found is that we need to get rid of this idea that if we say anything to parents, suddenly they're going to take their kid out of the school or they're not going to like you or anything like that. What I found is that by actually sitting down and talking with the parents, with your manager present, of course, of your school, I think is a really good idea, just to be safe. Tell them, look, I understand why you want to be there for your kid, but I think maybe it's not the best idea for them to grow and to pay attention in class and to be able to follow the teacher's instructions if you're always looking over their shoulder, right? And I've had to do this on multiple occasions just because the teacher that was here before me sort of, no offense to him necessarily, but he didn't establish himself as like the dominant figure in any of his classrooms, regardless of whether there were trouble with parents being a little too interested in overseeing everything or not. So now when I'm coming in here and I'm trying to establish this, that the teacher needs to be respected and the teacher needs to be followed, right? Needs to be looked up to. This is just something you have to do. So as I said, I've had to do this on multiple occasions now. And it really is so simple. Just as long as you're not sitting there telling them that they're a terrible parent or, you know, anything like that, you're gonna be fine. You're really gonna be fine. And this applies to anything across the board. If you want them to be less present in the classroom, if you think maybe their child needs to move down a level because the classroom that they've been placed in is too high level for them, anything troublesome, if their kid is misbehaving, if there's anything like that, I think we too often get in this mentality that, yeah, the parents, instead of, you know, normally in like a normal school, the parents aren't customers, right? Their kids are going there because they're going to school, right? Like as a compulsory thing, right? But I think I've worried before that if I say anything that then my parents are gonna be like, well, screw this guy, I'm taking my kids out of this school, I'm not paying for this anymore. That damages my school, that damages my reputation, that damages my job security, right? Like it's not a good thing, but at the end of the day, that doesn't really seem to happen. And if it does happen, and it has happened one time, it is always with somebody who the manager will actually say to you, hey, listen, that was just, you did the right thing. In our school is better for not having parents like that here, right? Who are damaging like the, how should I say, the atmosphere of our school, who aren't acting in a way that's conducive for their child's learning. It's like, that's not the kind of thing we want here. Of course you want to say that to the parent, right? But anyway, guys, I don't want to go on about this too much, but I am interested to hear if you've been teaching here, or you're teaching in China, teaching anywhere. Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about helicopter parents? How do you deal with helicopter parents? Has it been as simple for you as just sitting down and having like an honest talk with them? It's always worked for me. So anyway, thanks always for watching, guys. Please like this video if you did in fact like it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And oh god, the sun is in my eyes now. Terrible. And I'll see you... Let's turn this way. And I'll see you very soon indeed. Cheers.